Mariam Akbari, and we are here today to discuss study and scholarship in Germany with Wahidullah Azizi. Wahidullah is an Afghan anti-corruption activist and DAAD awardee. Sorry. Yeah, something happened. It's fine. So, yes, he is here to share his journey and give us information about study and scholarships in Germany. Hi, Wahidullah.
Hello, thank you, Mariam. It's great to be here with you on your show.
How are you? Thank you for your time.
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. But I feel like I don't know why my voice is not working very well, but I hope it works until the end of this interview. Anyway, so we will see if, we can start our interview and then we will see if we have any questions and we go through the questions like simply.
Sure.
Wahidullah, do you want to introduce yourself more? Do you want to add something more?
Yeah, thank you for that. I think I can just go a little bit just to talk about my experience in Afghanistan. I have a background studying political science and international relations, following by working for anti-corruption and good governance in Afghanistan. I worked for more than 3 years in that area and gained the necessary experience. I think that was somehow a base for me to go for my master's in Germany, which is also in the area of good governance and public policy. So that was a good first step for me to decide what masters I want to study in.
Great! What an amazing experience. So tell us, how did you succeed to get a scholarship in Germany?
I mean, that's a big question, actually. Just to boil it down to simple terms, I think like it was there in the top of my mind from when I finished my bachelor studies. But for us, like, I mean, scholarships has a lot of criteria. As you know, one of them is to have the needed experience to make sure you bring that knowledge also and incorporate that into your studies. It's not just like one-way traffic. You bring something from your years of experience, and then you just kind of marriage that to the academic thing. So it's also like a practice and theory thing. And I had that in top of my mind, and I applied for first time. I could not get it. Second time I could not get it, but I was lucky to get it third time. So I think like my experience working in the anti-corruption and in the governments in general, governance sector in general has helped me to acquire to get the scholarship, and I think that the people they're looking for is also looking for people who have the needed experience so that they can reflect on what they're studying in Germany.
Great. My question is why did you choose Germany for a study? Did you apply also for other countries?
I think, to be honest, I like Germany. It's not because by the time we are talking about this, we already have an interest why study in Germany. There are a few major reasons. The first being that in Germany, Germany is a very stable country, and you can expect a lot even after you finish with your studies. And the other thing is like the Germany is the top destinations, one of the top destinations for international students. I mean, like in 2018, it was like more than 13% of all students were from other countries. And the other big reason, personal for me, was that the program was offered in English. So I mean, there are a bunch of efforts, going behind the background that trying to introduce more international programs, what they call it, and that's all in English. So that's also a big reason for me to come to Germany for a study. And to be honest, like the Afghans generally they have a very favorable view of Germans. We have this more than 100 years of history and friendship. So that was also a reason for me. And then I'm very interested to discover German and it's success story because I think Afghanistan is also going through some of the bad experience of war that what Germany was facing, not in the same scale, but we can also learn something, and that's helpful for our country. So that was the reason for me to go for Germany.
Mhm. Cool. So, what was the challenges did you face while applying when you wanted to go to the process? And what do you think about the opportunities you gained?
I think I can experience something, a very personal experience. When we talk about scholarships, most of the Afghans they think they go for it like without the proper information, and they also somehow there are companies that they're just somehow deceive them. I think the good thing for and that we also have in mind is like that we go through the information ourselves, very carefully. There is no need for any third person or companies that you get your money and then did not return anything in response. So you need to have in order to have your scholarship, you need to have three things already in hand. First and most important is your English score. You can either go for TOEFL, for TOEFL and or IELTS, whatever works for you. And then you need to have that score well in advance, so you don't have to rush it in the last hour. And then you need to be able to write a very good motivation letter. I think for you to start it's very good to you start it yourself, from bit by bit, and then you can incorporate help from your friends and some professionals, but the idea should come from yourself in your motivation letter. So that is one thing that decides if they can get you an admission in the university. And the third more important thing is that you need to have a little bit of experience in order to be able to come to study for master's degree. Mostly I'm talking for master's degree. And it's also from my personal experience that it's better to study a bachelor degree in Afghanistan, and then you can come for a master's degree. And there are many chances for master's than for having a bachelor's degree. First being that the master program, majority of them are offered in English, so that's not a big problem for you. But if you want to come for a bachelor degree, you need to have a certain level of German language, let's say B2 or B2I, and that's a little bit of challenging for the Afghans in the first place to get. So the easiest will be to study your bachelor's and then work for at least 3 years, and then you have a much higher chance to get a scholarship.
Mhm. Um, Great. Um, yeah, I see that you had kind of challenges, and the way you went and you were very motivated. But if any person wants to get a scholarship, what criteria that person should have? Is it like should experience? The person should have experience working in some area specifically, or anyone can apply? What do you think?
I think it depends on which scholarship scheme are you applying for, and it's different. But in general, as I said before, like you need to have the minimum or above average an English score, which is TOEFL or IELTS for you. Whatever that works for you. I mean, you're comfortable with. That's a very big. I mean, that's your entry, to be honest, to be able to apply to scholarship. And then you need to have that needed experience. I know there are different, I mean, we're talking here in general, but if you're more specific, every scholarship scheme has its own a minimum requirement, which is different from one another, but in general you need to have like these three things in order to be able to apply for a scholarship. First and most important is your English score. I mean, you can, there are a lot of materials online that you can learn from, practice. You don't have to necessarily go to a test a preparation center. You can do that if you have time and spare time to do that. I mean, that's not a bad idea. But also you can use the online resources. You need to be dedicated to get a good score. And then you need to work on your motivation letter, because that's what they are looking for. And I know there will be some who ask, like, what about our grades in bachelor? I mean, that does matter, but not that much. If you're able to put a good motivation letter, you can actually you can actually get a scholarship, regardless of your score being not that high, because they're not just looking for scores. They are looking for who the person you are, how motivated you are, and if they are sure that they can invest on you. For a very simple scholarship, master scholarship program, they will invest like you like more than 25,000 euros. In my case, it's been like 25 to even more than that thousand. So they want to make sure that you're that person that you're showing in your motivation letter. And if you can come that good, you don't have to write like a bunch of unrelated stuff. Even like not realistic scenarios, but you need to be honest with yourself. What you did and what's your plan for future, so they are sure that give you the scholarship. And the third thing is like you need to have a little bit of experience, although it's not required in all of the scholarship scheme. That's why I put it in the third category. It's like the first is your English score, then you have the motivation letter. This is sometimes it is required, but sometimes it is not required. I know people who just came to Germany right after their bachelor degree. Didn't work, didn't have that experience. I mean, that's different for the scheme you're applying. But in my case, you needed a certain level of experience, which was like minimum of 3 years. And for that reason, I think I applied first time, I was not selected, and then second time, and then I evaluated myself and I see like, hey, maybe that experience played some role. So that's the first, that really important things that you want to look into that. And then you have to be a little bit of patient as well. I know a lot of people, and I had this feeling in the first time when I was not selected. You don't feel good down, like the word is crumbled on you. It is not like that. You just like apply first time, and then if it's not, you keep applying, but make sure to be in the frame time that they're requiring, because in the scholarship I came here, they don't go. I mean, you need to be graduated at least 6 years. So if that 6 year period is up, then you're not eligible by the minimum requirement to be able to participate. But you have a lot of window in that 6 years gap that you can apply for. And then you also need to select universities that based correspondence with your plans and future. So that also important, plays an important factor. If you're interested more in, let's say, in governance section, and then you go for another university, that will actually not work, because that's not even related to you. So you need to come up with something that's related to your experience, and also I mean, how good you portray your future plans and your motivation letter. So if the two works together, and then I think there's a high chance that you can come on a scholarship. But as in my case, I mean, scholarship are very competitive. So I mean, it's not the only way to come to Germany. Mariam, if you want to ask more about, like, let's say that the self-finance, I can go with that. But yeah, but I leave if you want to ask that later.
Yeah, we will absolutely go through that. But
Mhm.
I thought we first we go to an important question about like how you can stay. Like I see many people and especially students struggle to stay motivated and go through the whole process. They see the application and they start, but then at the end or in the middle they give up because they think it has like it is very difficult or it is very expensive, and they somehow they give up to go until whole process. So what is your what do you think, how what was that kept you go moving even if you first time second time you were rejected? So what was your motivation?
Yeah, I think the first important thing is that don't take everything personal. It's not about you, because there are, like, hundreds of people all around you that are applying for the same scholarship that you're competing for, and you're not just from Afghanistan. They are, like, from all over the world, and it's gonna be very interesting to know that, like, in my case, there were like 400 applicants in my degree program, but out of which they selected 12. So 400, I mean, it is not even like, that high of percentage, but that's not something personal against you. So if you're not selected first time, it is better to focus on what weakness do you have. Maybe you want to improve your English score, which is a good place to start, and then you want to work on your motivation letter. And then I tell you this, even, like, because I know a lot of my friends and also the Afghans. You don't want to write a motivation letter and then you want to, like, submit it, like a CV to every scholarship opportunity. That will not work. You need to tailor down, make it specific to that program, so they know at least that you're, like, paying attention, and you at least read the requirement. And then if you have one motivation letter and then you submitting that, like, to a dozen of universities, it is I mean, there are pretty much high chances that you will be rejected, because you didn't spend the necessary time trying to cover what you're needing for, what you're looking for. So it is also a good strategy, just to, like, if you're not selected in the first attempt, you need to work on your motivation letter, and at the same times you will gain more experience if you're working, so that experience will add up to your CV, and then the next time there are much higher chances that you will be selected for that. So I mean, like, it is also frustrating to wait at least like a few months, but you have that bigger picture in your head that you will get it will just worth it, just waiting a few months. So keep that in mind, and then stay motivated. Don't get too personalized. I mean, it's not about you. There are people all around you who want to get to the same spot. So that's also a good motivation sentence to keep in mind, that you're it's not about you. Don't get I mean, be there, and then you work on your weaknesses, and then you will be able to get it finally.
Mhm. Great tips, Wahidullah. Now we can go to if someone wants to study in Germany with his own finance, is it possible? And do you have any idea how much does it cost? How is it?
Thank you. I think there were also one question I see in the chat that somebody asked, what are the other options? I think the other options are for you to come on self-finance, which is also a very big percentage of students come on self-finance, because the good news is in Germany, you don't have to pay the tuition fee, which is a big thing comparing to the UK, USA, and other countries. You pay no tuition fees. I mean, can you I mean that's unbelievable. I mean, for me in Afghanistan, we pay a lot of high fees for studies, right? Like if you study in local universities, we pay a lot of fees. But in Germany, the good news is that you don't have to pay tuition fee, which like the bulk of the expenses on your studies. So you only pay, let's say it's like in my case, it's not more than 240 euros per semester. So in 2 semesters, you pay at least like 400 or 500 euros, which is nothing. And then that out of that money that will be spent, you will have a semester ticket that you can move around. And I mean, that money is come back to you in terms of your transportation cost. So basically, there are no tuition fee, and you don't pay for the universities at all. What you pay for is your own expenses here in Germany if you come on self-finance. And the way it works is like you need to have at least 800 to 900 euros per month, and you need to prove that. But before you want to do that, you need to have you need to get admission from the university. And when if you're admitted to the university, for in order to be able to apply for visa, you need to open a block account. I mean, these are the general things I'm talking, not in more details, but if we can also do that if the time allowed. And then you open a block account. So that block account is actually proving that you will be able to sponsor yourself at least for 1 year. So if your master degree or even a bachelor is like for 4 years, you need to be able to have in your block account. It's not actually a bank account. It is a block account that goes through bank, and they have their own technicalities. So you need to be able to deposit that money for 1 year, 800 euros per month, and that money will come back to you every month. So they will pay you every month, like equivalent of 800 euros, and that's also then depending on the year you're applying for, and also the state you're applying for, because Germany, as you know, is not a single, it's a federal country. So every state has its own different laws and regulations. So like generally it's about 800, so not worry about that. And that's like your own experience, and that will come back to you. Like they will pay you when you come to Germany. Then you have to open a bank account, and then that black account company will send money every month to you, so you can use it for your own experience. And out of that, you can pay for your rent, which is like the big issue here. I mean the big expense here. And then you also have to pay for your own experience. And then the other way to cover that expenses is for you to actually work. I mean, you can work as a student here, and then be able to pay your bills. Like you can work. I mean, there are many mini jobs you can take on, and I mean, you're allowed to work at least um, 20 hours a week, which is like not a full-time job, but it's enough to cover your expenses. So if you come to Germany, and then you start your study, and then you also have your block account, and then you can start a job. Actually, you pay for yourself, right from the beginning. But there are a few tips on that. If you want to consider coming on your own experience, you need to be able to speak a little bit of German. So that's a good tip, that if you have a plan to come to Germany, you start early, you study with yourself, or maybe a language center, that you're able to communicate the basic German. So in order to be able to be good at job. But most students, even that's not a big of a problem for that. So in general, like Germany, the tuition fee is zero. The education is free. All you have to do is just to be able to provide for yourself. And that's like not more than 800 euros per month. And then you can work here, and you can get that money back. So that is how you can come like on your personal expenses. But there is one difference, that if you want to come on your own experience, you need to adjust your time applying for visa, because it takes a little bit longer than if you're in a scholarship, because at least it can take 1 year. So you need to be able to apply on the same year that you receive your visa. So uh, that's like, corresponding to each other. Not that your studies is starting now and then you don't have visa. So you need to be able to in time make sure you have your admission, you have your block account ready, and then you have your visa application ready. For Afghans, for us, we need to go to either New Delhi or Islamabad for our visa. So these two places, they will issue you a visa, and then you can come to Germany, and then you have to, don't worry about your visa, because you can extend it here. And Mariam, if I want to add something to that, um, um,
Sure. Yeah.
the other good thing is, like, after you finish your studies, you have a window of 18 months to find yourself a job. So if you want to, like, stay a little bit longer in Germany and then find a work here, and maybe you can find a full work, so that also, like, covers the 2 years or even 4 years for your bachelor degree, to cover your expenses back. So they don't kick you out right after you finish your study. You can have your time here. 18 months is a long time, and you can find a job and also improve your German skills.
Mhm. I think actually that is a excellent opportunity. Like the education is free, tuition fees is free, and like the only thing is like you block your money. That is like that's amazing. What are you waiting for? Just go ahead and apply for that.
Yeah, I mean, that's your own money. You don't have to pay to anybody. It's just like it comes back to you every month. But the first thing is, like, you may be not able. I mean, the first thing is, like, you deposit it like as whole sum. Like, it's gonna be around 10,000 euros. But that 10,000 euros, like, as you know, Germany is like, they have a very high standard of living. So, like, 800 a month is not that much money here, but that may be a lot for the Afghans. For us, the Afghans, I know. But if you can do that, and that money will, come back to you, it's a great thing. I don't think there is any such system in any other countries. The first thing you're worried about, when your studies, like, how much is the tuition fee? Even in Kabul, in Afghanistan, if the big thing is, like, the tuition fee. But in Germany, you don't have the tuition fee. So think about that. Like, and it's even cheaper than studying in Kabul. So I mean, that's a big thing about Germany.
Yeah, I can say that is like very good opportunity,
Mhm.
and I didn't know either about that. So yeah, thank you again that you share your information with us, Wahidullah. And we can go to this question, which is my last question. But of course, we go through the audience's questions. And what is the key to your success? What have you done, and what is your life vision?
I think, like, so, like, I mean, that's also a very difficult question. So I will not, like, rate myself, my life, let's say, a certain level of success. But I would say, like, everybody, you need to have, like, a concrete plan for your life, what you're doing. And I think, like, if you have plan, you sort of have that motivation to go every mile, to get close to that. So I had in my plan to study in Germany, and then I applied, like, even 3 times, and it did not deter me from say, hey, I not got it in the first shot and my second shot, so it's not working for me. Let's not do it third time. But the good thing is, like, it worked like third time. So and I would say, you need to have a concrete plan for your life and what you're doing, so that will just keep you motivating. And life can derail you from your plan sometimes. And if you don't have a plan, it will just get you everywhere. And then you will act like, to the events. You will not have your plan. So you don't want to be reacting to the events, but you want to be shaping the events. You want to, let's say, some sort of, like, helping to write your destiny, you know. I mean, that's going to be a strong motivation for you. And then, like, for us, the Afghans, we have a lot to do in the years ahead. You know, our country needs a lot of help from the young people who studies, and then they share their experience in their country. I mean, that's also something that when you're here, you don't just think about yourself, you also think about your countrymen. I mean, you also think about how you want to contribute to your country. So that's going to be a motivation.
Um, yes. Thank you so much, Wahidullah Jan, for okay, yeah, for your sharing your the information. So we have many questions. We go and answer the questions. Some audiences says even answer to our questions. So we go through that. So we have one question. What other options did you have? I think that is related about, yeah, before applying to Germany. Did you, maybe he or she means that, did you have any other scholarship as well?
I think I had pretty much a few options, but out of that, I went for the DAAD, you know, the German scholarship. I had a chance, let's say, in Fulbright and also Chevening, but what struck me most about is, like, I personally like the German history, so that was so motivating for me, you know, coming here and walking in Berlin and see and comparing this historical events took place. So I chose Germany. I mean, I had some options, but I went for Germany.
Mm. Uh, okay, Nargis says, are there more opportunities for Afghans to apply?
Yeah, I mean, so Afghans, they, they have pretty much, I would say, higher chances in certain areas, but we need to be able to meet that requirement. I mean, the scholarships, they are, like, sometimes very competitive, but this is not the only, I mean, DID is not the only scholarship providers. There are a whole bunch of other scholarship providers as well that if you meet the requirement, you can actually get it. One of the requirement is to be able to speak German, which is, I would say, a big requirement, because we know German language is not that much, like, you know, in Kabul, in Afghanistan. But you can, if you have that motivation, you can learn the language, and then you'll be able to get a lot of other opportunities. Apart from the DID scholarship, there are political parties, there are even religious party, they offer a scholarship, but for that you need to have the German skills. In addition, for you to be able to have a good score in English.
Mm. And then we have another question from Shauna. I want to ask that Pakistan-based people based in Pakistan apply for a scholarship in Germany. How is it?
Yeah, I mean, there is no difference actually. I see a lot of Pakistani friends here, and for me personally, I studied my bachelor's in Pakistan, so that is, I mean, that's not a barrier for you to come to Germany. And a lot of the Pakistani students here, they came on self-finance, and that makes sense because the scholarships, they are, like, very limited and they're not that much, you know. But you can come on your self expenses. I see a lot of students from Pakistan, India, and also other countries that they come here and they study. So that there is no barrier for you to come here. I mean, just the sky's the limit for you.
Yeah. And Reza asked, I think you answered this question, how much do I need to block in the bank? I think you said 800 euro per month.
I mean, it is relative to which year you are applying, but it is roughly about 800. So that is the minimum live expenses that you will require. So you can check. There will be, like, detailed information on how much you can deposit in your black account. It's going to be like 824, 825, but we don't know exactly now. But when you're applying in that year, you can come up with the exact figure. But it's just have this in mind that it's about 800, around 800 roughly.
Great. And then he asked also about health insurance. Does he need health insurance for applying?
Yeah, you need to have health insurance as well. And the minimum, I mean, the average is about €3 per month. For me, it is by the scholarship provider. It's about €70. But you don't want to go to that expensive. You know, you just want to go for the minimum, and it's about €30. You know, roughly about €30. I mean, that will be enough for you to be able to have your and then the health insurance, they will that comes in your 800, monthly expenses. You don't have to pay like a whole sum for the health insurance provider. So you can if you set up your account here, and then you will pay on monthly basis. So that's gonna be not that much, just around 30 euros. So that's not much. 30 euros is about 300 per year, which is not that big of a deal.
Yeah. So we got some question from Mohammad Karimi. Can we apply for double master? I think you mean that if you have already have a master and then apply for another.
I think you can do that. Yeah, you can do that. There is no issue in that, but um, you need to present yourself in your motivation letter that you really needed that. You really need that a degree. Even I had a master, but I also feel like this one I need it. So you have to convince your scholarship provider, or that you need to. I mean, if you go to scholarship, which is um, requires an extra mile, I would say. But if you're going like on your own expenses, there is not going to be much, um, much. I would say they will not ask much about your. I mean, you can put that on your CV, but that will not be a barrier for you to study at another master degree. And I know a lot of people, they have a master degree, and they, because they need it, or maybe because of their work experience, they go for another master degree, which is I mean, which is a good option for many people.
Yeah. If 6 year passed from my bachelor graduation, can we apply for master in Germany?
Yeah, I mean, that 6 year I mentioned, that's more to do with the scholarship provider from the DAAD. They usually have that 6 years barrier. But for you, if you want to go to, let's say, if you want to go to on your own expensive, I think that's not a requirement they're looking for. So that's mostly for the scholarship provider. So I mean, they're looking for, let's say, their program. I mean, 6 year. I mean, they say like 6 years is a long time. So, but for you, if you want to go to on your expenses, even that does not matter. But that 6 year limit is for the scholarship. If you want to go to a scholarship, that will be a limit for you.
Mm. Yes, and do we have the right to work while studying in Germany,
Yeah,
Reza?
absolutely. When you receive your student visa, you also have receive your work permit. I mean, but you are allowed to work, let's say, 20 hours per week, which is not. I mean, if you take like 40 hours per week, it's like a full-time job. But for students, it's like half of that. And I heard like in some cases you can take full-time job, even 40 hours per week, but you need to, in 1 year, you are able to work 6 months, like not 12 months. So to meet that minimum student gap. So, I mean, say 20, even like 20 hours per week will be even like enough working hours for you to cover your expenses. So that's gonna work.
Okay. And Reza asks, apparently seems you have been so determined while applying and didn't give up, but I'm just wondering what kept you going. Did you
Thank
answer?
you. Thank you, Reza. I think, and part of that, I talked about it earlier, but I think it's like, you don't want to get everything personal. You don't, if you're not selected in the first round, you don't want to give up and say, hey, why me? I mean, I mean, we say a lot that, it's like not a nice way to complain. But you instead you work on your weak spots, that strengthen that weak spot and come back next year. That's a good thing.
Yeah, and I think we have the last question again, Reza. I'm somewhat confused. You said monthly you should have 800 euro.
Mhm.
Literally to say if I apply for 2 years, I should have approximately 20,000 euro, right?
No, Reza, you only have to provide for the first year in order to be able to get the visa. Once you're here in Germany, I mean, you don't. I mean, once you're here, you can either work and or either you can just pay your expenses on a monthly basis. That block account is just for 1 year. They want to make sure that you're not a burden on the society, so you can provide for yourself. So that's like, let's say, a caution money just for first year. If the program is for 2 years, you don't have to provide the full 20,000 euro. I mean, you just have to do it for the first year.
Okay, we don't have any more question. But the one thing it came in my mind. So you had how many times did you have IELTS or did you have TOEFL
I
score?
went for TOEFL. I didn't go to IELTS. Even some people say IELTS is more easy, but for me
Mm,
it was the TOEFL.
okay, and was it difficult to go through to get that score, or like how much time you just focus on to get that?
No, I think I got it in my first shot, but it is so in general, if you talk about IELTS and TOEFL, you need to have a certain level of English,
Mm,
and then you need to apply some tips and techniques in order to get that the score. And the English test is not about memorizing anything. It's not about that. They're just looking for your I mean, the level of English and the time management you can have on test. So for me, it was like my first shot. I took it in Kabul, in Qatar University, and there are a
mm,
few centers you can take the test in Kabul and also in Mazar Sharif. So I know there are in Herat and Kandahar as well. But the good strategy for improving your English is just, you can start it with yourself, and then there are tons of online material. You need to have like take a mock test with yourself. You can do that. Even like in your smartphones, you can download applications that will help you improve your English. But for me, like I went for TOEFL in my first shot, and I didn't need it.
mm,
I didn't feel the needed to go through a second time. But
mm.
in order to get a good score, you need to, let's say, prepare yourself at least 2 months in advance. Um, and now, like, I'm talking like, so the scholarship I came through, it will end, like, it's opening up in June, in just in few days. I mean, and then you have to also you have 2 months. In 2 months you can work on your English score, your motivation letter, and also a bunch of other requirements. Mariam, if you allow me, I want to also talk about reference letters, which that was a
Yeah, yeah,
problem.
sure, do that.
That was a problem for me, and I want to share some tips with those who are applying. So the reference letters, they also play a very important role. You don't have to, let's say, overlook that. I know a lot of people do that, but they also
Mm,
play a very important role. Um, one of the tips I can give you is that if you studied in Afghanistan, and you have a teacher, you don't go to a teacher and say, "Hey, give me a reference letter." I mean, that will not work. First of all, I'm not sure if that teacher will have time to write you a reference letter. And second, maybe they don't. I mean, they don't remember you much. So the good thing for you is like you write yourself the reference letter. You make sure there is no grammar mistake and everything, and then you share that with your professor. You share that with professor if he or she is agree, and then he will give you the signed reference letter, and this will
mm,
save you a lot of time, because if you ask your professor and then he's busy or she's busy, you don't have time. So and sometimes the reference letter, if it's not submitted on time, you will lose the opportunity, and you will have to wait like a whole another year to come. So there are two ways that you need to reference your submit your reference letter. First is like you get a signed and a stamped signed letter from your professor, and the second thing is like they have to submit it. So you want to start early, because that's not what you control. That's like your professor controls. So the good thing is like you start early. You write the reference letter yourself if you think the professor is not is don't have a lot of time. And from my experience, I didn't study in Kabul, but some of my friends told me like even teachers from let's say the government or even private universities, they don't know much English, and the reference letters they should be written in English. So you want to come up with your reference letter, and then you check with your professor, and if they agree, you need to submit it. So that's something you want to start early.
Yeah. Yeah, we are done now with our interview. Thank you so much. I think this was very, very informative and also at the same time very inspiring interview. And especially when I compare it with Sweden, there are so many benefits, like study benefits it has in Germany that is not in Sweden. I don't say that Sweden is not good studying, but if you compare it like this, in Sweden you need to pay tuition fees,
Yeah, I
whatever you need
mean,
to pay your fees and your fee, and it's not like guaranteed if you get that or not, but that is a
yeah.
good opportunity in Germany.
I think that's a big thing that if you hear a lot about the student debts, in the US and other and even in the UK. But I
Mm.
think the good thing is like maybe not many people know that. It's like in Germany it's free. I mean, it is literally free.
Yeah.
They pay for the university, I mean, in terms of taxes from other people. For you as an international students, like think about this, like here are like hardworking Germans that pay for your education, and all you need to do is just to come and study.
Yeah, that is like very yeah, very interesting. Like tuition, like the even the studies are not free in Sweden, so you need to pay that. But it is like amazing opportunity in Germany that it is free, and you just need to motivate yourself and go through the process. So
Yeah,
yeah, thank you so much, Wahidullah Jan, for your time and your words. They were very inspiring, very amazing, and I hope the young people, students from wherever you are, just get it done, start it and get it done, and don't give up. And you have this amazing opportunity, and all instruction are here. We will put also more information about how you can find the scholarships, the links, and how is it to study in Germany in the link below in the comments. So if you like our videos, thumbs up the like and write your question in comment. We will definitely come back to answer your questions. And if you like the video, so subscribe for our channel for more inspirational videos. I will do every week interviews with these talented people, and as you see, Wahidullah was one of them. um, do you have anything more to say, Wahidullah?
thank you, Miriam. It was a pleasure to share the platform with you. And seeing all these people questioning is this even like more motivating. I will be able to somehow reply to the comments if they have under your video. So make sure, guys, you like the video and the thumbs up, and then I will be able to read your comments, and I will have to help in whatever way I can. And the first thing is like I can reply back to the comments under this video. Just to make sure you get the information. And thank you so much for the time. It was great talking to you.
Yeah, great. So until next week and until another interview, have a nice weekend and see you all. Yeah, basically, see you all next week, Saturday. Love you all. Bye. Bye, Faidullah.
Bye. Have a good day.